Madam Speaker, I thank all members for supporting the bill. To recap, the key amendments are based on enhancements which were announced earlier at my ministry's and NPTD's Committee of Supply in April this year. I'm glad that members such as Mr. Alex Yam, Mr. Louis Ng, Mr. Seah Kem Peng, Ms. Cheryl Chan, Mr. Desmond Chu, Associate Professor Daniel Goh, and Ms. Dhanalakshmi support the extension of maternity leave benefits to unwed mothers. These will improve the outcomes for their children. Associate Professor Goh shared his concern about housing security for children of unwed parents and divorcees. I share that concern. He asked if the government could include unwed parents in its definition of family nucleus in assessing applications for HDB flats. Mr. Seah, Mr. Alex Yam, and Mr. Chu asked if housing options can be improved for this group, such as allowing unwed mothers to purchase a HDB flat before turning 35. Now, our public housing policy recognizes the traditional family unit. That said, single, unwed parents are not without housing options. Those aged 35 and above may apply for a new 2-room flexi flat in a non-mature estate or a resale flat and also enjoy housing grants. Those below 35 years old may apply for new HDB flats or resale flats jointly with their parents. As for divorced parents with young children, they are given priority under the HDB's assistance scheme for second-timers when they apply for a new 2- or 3-room BTO flat in non-mature estates. Additionally, on a case-by-case basis, HDB also exercises flexibility to help divorced parents and single unwed parents buy a flat within their means, or to provide rental housing to those with no other housing options or family support. Mr. Patrick Tay asked whether unwed fathers could be granted paternity leave. Well, it is generally the case that unwed mothers would be the main caregivers of their children. However, we will consider appeals by unwed fathers on a case-by-case basis. All working parents, regardless of marital status, can avail themselves to infant care and childcare leave to meet their caregiving needs. Mr. Louis Ng, Mr. Alex Yam, Mr. Seah Kem Peng, and Mr. Desmond Chu asked if more could be done for unwed parents. Some suggestions include the extension of baby bonus, cash gift, and tax benefits. Now, it is good to take stock of the support we've given to all Singapore children to enhance child outcomes, regardless of whether their parents are married. I have said this a couple of times in this House, and I think it's important for me to repeat it here again. Now, these are education and healthcare benefits and includes Medisave grant for newborns and infant and childcare subsidies. All working parents, regardless of marital status, also get infant care leave, childcare leave, and extended childcare leave, and a foreign domestic worker levy concession to support caregiving to enhance child outcomes. Beyond these, we know that children, and I think many of your concerns really center around children who come from more vulnerable backgrounds, especially, and if you compound that with unwed parents, it makes it even more difficult for them. But we know that children of unwed parents from low-income and vulnerable families need even more support, which is why we are introducing Kids Start. It's a very important program. It may be in its pilot stage, but we do hope and we do want this to work so that we can extend this much more extensively amongst the vulnerable families, even starting from year 0, when women can be identified at the pregnancy stage as well. Financial and social support is also available at the Social Services Office and Family Service Centres. So I do urge members to take note that even for unwed mothers, there is a range of support available. And with the recent changes and the changes we're putting in place, it extends it further. However, I think it's also important to understand that we continue to believe in the importance of the family institution, and we encourage married couples to have children. Hence, specific measures, for example, the baby bonus cash gift, tax benefits, and the government co-funding for assisted reproduction technology treatment and the priority for housing are targeted at married families. However, as mentioned earlier, for unwed parents, there are also various ways in which we can support them through various means. Let me now turn to the topic on adoption leave. Mr. Louis Ng asked why the length of maternity leave and adoption leave differs. Now, we are increasing adoption leave from 4 weeks to 12 weeks from July 2017. And this is to strengthen the support to adoptive parents. Natural mothers currently have 16 weeks of leave. Now, maternity leave is longer by a month, largely because natural mothers need time to recover from childbirth. Mr. Ng also asked whether adoption leave could be extended to adoptive mothers of children older than 12 months. Similar to maternity and paternity leave, adoption leave is intended to support parents of infants in the first year of delivery. Beyond the child's infancy, all working parents, including adoptive parents, can take 6 days each of paid childcare leave when the child is below age 7 and 6 more days of unpaid infant care leave when the child is below age 2 to spend more time to bond with their children. Mr. Henry Quek touched on the need for our society to support adoption. He suggested a grant to offset foreign adoption costs for couples who have failed repeatedly to conceive. As the focus of adoption is to find a suitable family for a child, subsidizing the fees charged by a commercial adoption agencies is not the right solution, we think, in terms of protecting the best interests of the child. Mr. Quek also suggested allowing single parents who were previously married and adopted a related child to benefit from the parenthood tax rebate. We thank you for the suggestion, which we will study further. That said, all things being equal and in the child's best interest, we encourage parenthood within marriage. That's still something that we would like to see and we would like to encourage. Members, including Mr. Tay and Mr. Quek, also raised suggestions to support foster parents through various measures such as leave benefits. I agree with Mr. Quek that we should make it easier for foster parents to discharge their parenting responsibilities. We have about 400 foster parents caring for over 400 children today. Mr. Quek mentioned about the Pau lady. In fact, I visited her and spoke to her and talked to her and her family, and they are really quite amazing. I visited various foster families as well. And it is really quite encouraging to see families with such capacity to love, not only just for their children, but for many children over many years. And it really makes a difference for these children whose families may not be ready to take them in and look after them for a period, but foster parents play a very significant role. And we are heartened to see that Singaporeans are willing to go that extra mile to care for vulnerable children. We certainly do want to encourage more Singaporeans to come on board to be foster parents. We will certainly keep your suggestions in mind as we continue to develop foster care. I will now move on to the topic of stay-at-home mothers. Mr. Patrick Tay asked if the government would consider putting in place returnship programs to help match women, job seekers and employers. He also suggested providing an income supplement to stay-at-home mothers and for workfare scheme benefits to be extended to a select group of such young mothers. I think this is an idea that we can consider, though we should take a hard look at all the current job matching services and to really minimize duplication in efforts. But this is something I think we should work at. I want to assure members that we recognize and value the contributions of stay-at-home mothers in caring for their children. Today, eligible stay-at-home mothers already enjoy all the measures under the marriage and parenthood package, except, understandably, those related to employment, such as leave benefits. They will get the baby bonus cash gift, the child development account benefits, Medisave grant for newborns, foreign domestic worker levy concession, and basic child and infant care subsidies. So we appreciate the suggestions from members and will take them into consideration as we continue to study ways to enhance the family-friendly environment in Singapore to support both working and non-working parents. Mr. Patrick Tay is right that there are other caregivers, such as those of the elderly and other dependents. He suggested allowing flexing of medical leave under Employment Act for them, as they may not qualify for the current leave benefits. We will study these suggestions as well. While we want to support such caregivers, we also need to consider the impact on businesses and the overall leave support already in place for employees. Now, let me touch on protection for workers and employment-related concerns raised by Mr. Tay. Mr. Tay asked to extend the protection beyond pregnancy and maternity leave for female employees. We will work with tripartite partners in the next round of review to study this in the next round, and while being mindful not to change the laws so drastically that it results in unintended consequences, such as resentment against mothers and impact on gender bias, because this could also impact on their employability. And that's something that we just have to be careful about. But it's an important area to look at. In the meantime, we will continue to encourage employers to adopt flexible work arrangements to support families. Associate Professor Goh highlighted the need to protect contract workers, as this group is fast becoming a substantial group in the gig economy. I agree. In fact, when I was in Ministry of Manpower, this was an area that we flagged up for close attention. But what we also realized is that the whole space is actually quite complex because there are many, many different types of contract work. The Ministry of Manpower will work with tripartite partners to study this suggestion further, taking into consideration the overall leave provisions already in place by employers and the caregiving needs of workers. Ms. Thanalakshmi raised 4 technical areas for clarification under this amendment bill. Firstly, she asked what measures will be taken to ensure that workers who are terminated without just cause know their leave entitlements upon termination of employment. MOM encourages employers to implement fair and non-discriminatory employment practices. The TAFEP takes an active role in looking into complaints of unfair employment practices and will refer cases to MOM for enforcement if found to be true. Any employee who feels discriminated against can approach TAFEP for assistance. Secondly, Ms. Thanalakshmi asked about the process of calculating benefits for a woman returning from overseas to deliver her child, especially if it seems to be an inflated claim. We will determine the amount of government-paid maternity benefit for such a woman based on documents such as her pay slip. Where there is reason to doubt the document or the claims, we will ask further questions, and we may not always approve the claim. Thirdly, she asked how the weekly index works for a person who works 7 days a week. The weekly index simplifies the provisions of the Act and does not change entitlement. A self-employed person who works 7 days a week and takes a full maternity leave continuously will be paid based on 7 days a week. Where maternity leave is taken flexibly, it will be based on the number of days she works in a week or 48 days, whichever is lower. This mirrors the computation of entitlement for employees on continuous and non-continuous leave. Fourthly, she asked about the circumstances and mechanism under which the government will recover overpayment of government-paid maternity leave and government-paid maternity benefit. As with other civil debts, the government has the option to commence legal proceedings to recover overpayment of government-paid maternity leave and government-paid maternity benefit. In practice, we will seek to recover through calls, letters, or physical visits if necessary. Finally, just a technical clarification. Ms. Thanalakshmi said that employees whose services are terminated with just cause cease to be entitled to adoptive leave, government-paid maternity leave, and government-paid paternity leave. I would like to clarify that a woman only forfeits her government-paid maternity benefit, or the GPMB, and even then only for the relevant employment period where she is dismissed with sufficient cause. If she had worked satisfactorily in other jobs in the 12 months preceding delivery, she can still receive a GPMB amount based on the income earned from those jobs. Ms. Cheryl Chan suggested some enhancements relating to child development accounts, or the CDAs. Ms. Chan would be pleased to hear that CDA monies can be used to purchase a child's premiums for MediShield Life or MediShield's approved plans. At the end of 12 years, all unused CDA monies are also automatically transferred to the child's post-secondary education account, which can be used for post-secondary education fees. She also suggested that the government facilitate donors or payments of cash assistance into the CDAs of children from low-income families so that they can benefit more from the CDA scheme. Now, we are mindful that low-income families face more challenges in saving into the CDA. This is why we have introduced a CDA first step of $3,000 earlier this year. This is directly provided into newly opened CDAs without parents having to save first. We also reach out to lower-income families through touch points such as the social service offices and family service centers to increase awareness about the CDA. We also welcome initiatives by society to help families defray the cost of child raising. One such example is the OCBC Starter Scheme, which was introduced in 2012 and will end in December 2016. Under this scheme, if lower-income parents saved $50 in the CDA, OCBC would contribute $100 into the account. As government provides matching contribution of $150, the children will effectively be receiving co-savings of $250 in return for the $50 saved. Let me now move to leave for fathers. The government is mandating the second week of paternity leave from 1st January 2017 and extending shared parental leave from 1 week to 4 weeks from 1st July 2017. On Mr. Louis Ng's request for the updated take-up rates for paternity leave, well, this was 38% in 2014 and 42% in 2015. So an improvement of 4%. Not bad, but we hope they increase. And really, fathers should just take it up. The 2015 figure is still increasing and will only be finalized at the end of March 2017 when the deadline for the submission of claims is over. On Ms. Thanalakshmi's request for statistics, about 4,000 fathers have taken shared parental leave as at end of August 2016. Mr. Seah Kian Peng asked if independent leave can be considered. We're now increasing paternity leave and shared parental leave. Any further leave enhancements, I think, we do need to balance the needs and concerns of both employees and employers. We will also look into Mr. Desmond Chu's suggestions for an in-depth study of constraints faced by companies and fathers in consuming these two leave schemes. The enhancements to paternity leave and shared parental leave signals the government's strong support to encourage fathers to spend more time caring for their children. Shared parental leave also provides parents the flexibility to decide and to choose on their leave arrangements to care for their newborns, based on their respective families' circumstances. We really do hope that more fathers will make use of the enhanced leave to be involved in child raising. That being said, ultimately, it is for the father to decide whether to take the leave or not. Maybe we should persuade the mothers to convince the fathers to take the leave. I thank Mr. Louis Ng for sharing his good news. Congratulations, and to encourage Mr. Desmond Chu to work harder. And I think especially to thank Mr. Louis Ng for his interesting parenting experiences. I think many of us who are parents here will have our own respective, really interesting stories as well. And indeed, those of us who can look back and honestly say, I'm glad I did, we do remember the lessons we learned as parents. Children enrich our lives in the most unexpected ways, just as we fathers play an important role in the family. We are not just breadwinners, but we are role models for our children. We really do need to be active and present in our children's lives, especially during our child's formative years. Certainly in MSF, when we look at the various social issues, I can tell you one of the two common denominators that we pick up is that as you connect the dots and you trace it back, a lot has got to do with a stable family environment, and especially the presence of the father. And the other point is about making that impact in the formative years, where the greatest development is experienced by a child. Are we there shaping those formative years? Mothers usually are there, but fathers need to be there as well. This is something that we can encourage and support, but ultimately the individual parents must make those choices. So fathers do shape a child's confidence immensely and their development. I fully agree with Mrs. Seah Kian Peng's points that as parents, we should be focusing on the child's health, growth, and well-being. Parents sometimes do not know what impact their comparisons have on their children. In some situations, the child loses confidence in his ability and he starts to wonder if he will be unloved by his parents the moment he fails to meet their expectations. Fathers have the means to demonstrate unconditional love and support to the children, and I do urge all of us to do so. I also agree with Alex Yam on the importance of creating a pro-family and pro-children environment. The physical environment is important. There are 35 ministries and government agencies with childcare facilities within their buildings. While this will certainly help working parents, more and more young fathers are willing to make use of these facilities and not just expect the mothers to do so. And that is encouraging. Families for Life, as well as government agencies, provide parenting and family events and workshops at the workplaces itself. I encourage more fathers to avail themselves of these and to be more engaged in pro-family workplace programs. When the 2 weeks of mandatory paternity leave kick in next year, we hope that more fathers will take the opportunity to actively bond with their children from the time they are born. Like Mr. Patrick Tay, I also hope more fathers will use the shared parental leave so that they can further bond with their children. These leave enhancements are focused on the critical infant period, but fatherhood continues beyond infancy. And as one important tagline says, we are dads for life. I hope that we as fathers will continue to be involved and always present in our children's lives. It may be different for everyone, and we all need to find our own way to connect and bond with our children. It need not be something elaborate. It could be through simple everyday activities like reading a bedtime story, kicking a soccer ball around, going out to cycle, or just going out for a meal. It may surprise some of us, but to our children, it is not what we do, but that we're doing it together with them. Active fatherhood also strengthens marriages. Fathers show that they care and are committed to their wives and their families when they share their parenthood journey. The journey may be and will be a bumpy ride with ups and downs, but we learn along the way to be better parents together with our spouses. And it is these ups and downs that result in the creation of special moments and special memories. Memories unique to our families, memories which will always hold dear to ourselves, and memories which will last us a lifetime. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.